Alrighty boys, what's going on? My name is Garen Baba. How y'all doing today? So in today's video, we're going to be going over everything that was talked about in the Season 2 premiere of the first Descendant. The developers talked about a lot of things, and I mean a lot of things. And if you guys want to see my reaction, I did do a reaction video where I was like reacting to the actual premiere itself. So if you guys want to see that, it's about an hour long. It is pretty long, but there was honestly like a lot of stuff that they talked about in that video, but we are going to be talking about everything that is going on in Season 2. So let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about that's going to be coming in Season 2 is going to be the 2 new Descendants. Yes, you heard me right, 2 new Descendants. Compared to Season 1 as well as the, what was it, the July update? No, it was the August update, I think. We are actually getting 2 new Descendants in this season. We're going to be getting one at launch, and then we're going to be getting another one in January. So the 2 new Descendants are named Keelan and Enes, I believe. Enes? I think it's Enes. Keelan is going to be a toxic-based descendant, and his whole thing is going to be generating this debuff. I think they called it, what was it, toxic decay or something like that. I forgot to write that in my notes, but his like signature ability that they were talking about a lot was going to be his dash. It's going to allow him to go through enemies, which is going to be really cool, and it can also be used as a movement ability. Now they didn't really go too much in depth with Ines. All they talked about really is the fact that she's going to be an electric based descendant, as well as they talked a little bit about their backstory and the fact that they are both a part of the Hound organization, and the Hound organization specializes in like the reconnaissance of the void. So that's pretty interesting for any of you lore buffs out there. I'm not really much of a lore buff. I'm more of a point click shoot kind of guy. But both descendants look really cool. Honestly, a lot of people have been saying that that Keelan looks like Mother's Milk from The Boys. I never watched The Boys, so I'll take your word for it. To me, he looks like a younger Blade, so I kind of like that kind of like fantasy, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, both Descendants look pretty cool. They showed gameplay footage of Keelan, but not Ines, so hopefully in the future, pretty soon, we will see some gameplay also of Ines. Maybe during Season 2, they'll probably show off some gameplay once we get closer to her release, which is going to be week 7 of Season 2, so in January. Now, the thing that I was the most excited for was going to be the new Ultimate Descendant. So the new Ultimate Descendant is going to be Ultimate Sharen. With Ultimate Sharen, I don't know if she's going to be coming at launch based off of what I saw of the roadmap and the way they were kind of explaining it. I think she's going to be coming out on launch, but I could be wrong about that. Maybe she might be coming in a later week before January hits, so we'll have to wait and see. I would imagine she's probably just going to come at launch. It makes the most sense. But with Sharen, she's going to be getting 2 new red mods. Now, I will be having a more in-depth, dedicated video for Ultimate Sharen. Being a Sharen main, this is pretty awesome for me to have my ultimate version of my favorite Descendant coming out. But she's going to be getting 2 new red mods. She's also going to be getting her Descendant story as well, something that we saw with Freyna and Bunny beforehand. So let's talk about her 2 new red mods. So her first one is going to be area suppression. This mod is going to enhance Sharen's AoE potential, as well as it's going to basically throw short swords in a 360-degree radius around Sharen. So I'm not going to toot my own horn here, but I was actually going to make a video that was unfortunately scrapped, and in this video I was going to be kind of talking about some things that I would have liked to see with Sharen in like possibly a rework, and one of the things that I had talked about in that scrapped video was actually this exact concept, but originally I had said that this should be a rework to I think I had said it should be like a rework to her first ability, which is Cutoff Beam, which I'm guessing Area Suppression is going to be replacing. And then they also mentioned that critical hits reduces the cooldown. Now, this is actually pretty good because Sharen actually has a pretty high skill critical rate. So this is going to be really good for her. So typically when you build with Sharen, if you build any kind of like skill ability, you are going to be building skill critical rate as well as skill critical damage. So this is going to be really good for her. And I believe that, and I'm hoping that you can also increase its range with something like, what is it, skill expansion? Or is it skill expansion or skill extension? I get the two mixed up. I'm sorry. But if you can increase the range of this, I definitely think that her AoE potential is going to be so much better when Season 2 hits. And I gotta be honest with you, I might be whipping out the credit card for this one. Her next red mod is going to be Ambushed. Ambushed is going to increase the effectiveness of stealth, and in stealth you're going to get a movement speed increase, as well as you're going to be getting a reduction in the in your cooldowns for your other abilities. And they also talked about if you kill an enemy while in stealth, it re-triggers stealth, and it also replaces. It also makes shock nuts in a offensive skill. So this was pretty awesome. So they're leaning more towards in that roguey assassin playstyle that Sharen should be known for, and trying to make it so that she's like going like in and out of stealth, or she's staying in stealth a lot of the time. And they did say, I believe it was the producer that had said that you can almost be in stealth infinitely when you're using ambush. So I think that's pretty awesome of them to do. This is a really cool mod, and I'm going to be really interested to play around with this one and see what we as a community can build with that. Now, also, they talked about they were going to make some changes to stealth. They didn't really go in depth. I don't know if they're just going to make some changes to like just base stealth. They didn't really go too in depth with that, but that's fine. And then they also did show off her ultimate skin. Her ultimate skin looks pretty cool. They showed a concept of it. They didn't show a in-game render of it, so we don't know what it looks like in-game. But based off of the concept, it looks really cool. It's very different from other ultimate Descendant skins that we have seen. It's very cyberpunk-esque. It kind of reminds me of like the samurai jacket from Cyberpunk 2077, but with the like little studs on the side. It looks really cool. I was pretty happy with the overall presentation of Ultimate Sharen. She has like a very like Japanese Amaterasu thing going on, which is what I said in my reaction. It felt very like, at least the like her headpiece looked very like Japanese inspired, but then again, I could be wrong. So the next thing I want to talk about is going to be the new dungeon. So the new dungeon is going to be available in both normal and hard mode, and it's going to be available at Mastery Rank 8. They also said that Keelan will be available from this dungeon, as well as the new fellow or companion system, which we will be going on a little bit here in a little bit. They also talked about kind of like this like stealth kind of thing that they had going on with the dungeon, where the dungeon will have drones, and if you are spotted by these drones, the drones will then summon more enemies. So kind of like almost like a Metal Gear Solid kind of thing going on here. They also did kind of discuss like a new Vulgus boss. This is going to be a bigger type boss, and this boss is going to have, I think they said it's going to have 3 different phases. The boss's name is Dread Armor, and the way they described it is the boss will first start out with one weapon, and then once they get to phase 2, they'll then switch to another weapon which is more melee based. So this will kind of change up the boss's patterns, and then for the 3rd phase, the boss will then kind of like, I don't know, like get desperate or run out of ammo or something, and he'll whip out 2 pistols and just start blasting away. It's like that Danny DeVito meme. And so honestly, this is really cool. I'm really happy that they're starting to kind of be a little bit more expressive with these different types of bosses, instead of just making them tank and spanks. because I feel like that's one problem with the game has right now is the fact that bosses, like field bosses or bosses in dungeons, are just like reskins, same enemies, do the same exact thing with maybe just some minor variations. So I'm pretty happy that they are starting to really work on this. So one thing that we knew about from earlier on in the game's lifespan is the fact that we were going to be getting a companion system in Season 2. Now, I thought they were going to be going more of the robotic route, but instead they actually went with a companion system, or fellows as they called it, where you actually have a dog. So they showed off a German Shepherd in the like images and stuff like that. They didn't show anything in game, I believe. They might have shown a couple, like maybe a couple of screenshots of the German Shepherd in game. Maybe you'll be able to name them. I don't know. But they did show off some customization options, and they also did describe that these companions will pick up loot, and they will also auto dismantle things based off of your filters. So that's pretty cool. I think this is something we also needed in the game because there's a lot of loot in this game. Now, they also did talk about it, a disclaimer where if you were possibly going too fast, then your companion won't be able to like pick up everything. So there still is a level of you kind of having to stop to let your companion pick some stuff up. But this is still great because it makes it so that if there are certain items that you maybe run past because you're like in the middle of battle or something, this makes it so that your companion will kind of like stop and pick things up for you and stuff like that. This is really cool. I like it. And the fact that it's a German Shepherd, this is pretty cool, as well as I'm really hoping in the future I get my tactical corgi. Okay, listen, if I get a tactical corgi, it's over. It's done. I'm gonna be the happiest man alive. Tactical corgi. Put a little helmet on him. Put a little helmet on him. Strap a fucking Glock to him. We're ready to go, baby. Alrighty, so the next thing that the developers had talked about was going to be the new ultimate weapons. We're going to be getting 2 new ultimate weapons. So the first one is going to be a beam rifle called Voltia. And this weapon is going to have like a chain lightning effect, the way the developers talked about it. Basically, when it hits enemies, it's going to kind of arc into other enemies. So this is going to be really good for crowd clearing, which is great because I think we've needed more weapons with crowd clearing. Currently right now, the ones that I can think of off the top of my head are Thunder Cage and Kingsguard Lance. There's probably one that I'm missing, but as of now, those are kind of like the only 2 that I can really think of that are notable. And so they also kind of went into a little bit of lore for Voltia, and it's basically based off of the same technology as Bunny's first ability. And this will also be our Battle Pass weapon, if I didn't say that already. So during the reveal, when they showed the weapon off in like the trailer, I actually thought I didn't even catch it because the effect of it was actually very similar to Bunny's 4th ability. So I actually thought it was just, and the fact that they had it on a Bunny, I thought it was actually just Bunny's 4th ability, her just using her 4th ability. So that was pretty funny. Again, if you go check out the reaction, you'll be able to see me talk about that. So next up, they talked about another weapon, which is going to be a shotgun, and this weapon is called Hammer and Anvil. So this weapon has 2 firing modes. So in hip fire, it's going to have a wide burst pellet spread. I don't know if it's going to be wider than other shotguns, if it's going to be like rectangular shaped. The way they talked about it, the way I think it was the director, the way he had talked about it in game, it sounded like it's actually going to have a wider pellet spread than other shotguns. Sorry, kind of blanked out there. And then with the anvil portion, it's actually going to be like a slug round explosive, which is cool. And then the entire shotgun as a whole, not just like one specific firing mode, is going to also have a movement penalty when you hit something. So that's going to be cool. I don't know how effective that's going to be in a PvE setting. I could maybe see like a use for it if we had PvP. but in PvE, that's going to be, we'll have to wait and see. Now, they also did show off a skin for Hammer and Anvil, and they did say that it's going to be free to all users, and you will be able to get it from the Battle Supply Shop, which is cool. I really like when they add like free stuff for players to earn, because it gives us a reason to play the game. And they briefly mentioned that ultimate weapon penalties were being removed. So what this means is when each ultimate weapon has a unique ability, and with that unique ability, there is a positive and a negative. They did say that they are going to be removing the negatives. They were worried about the balancing part of it, but they're more worried about kind of just like the fun factor and making it. And I think the director had said that, making these weapons powerful from stage 0, and this possibly making it so that people don't want to upgrade the unique abilities. I feel like if they make it so that, or if they keep it the way it is now, where as you upgrade the unique ability, it makes it more powerful, I think that they shouldn't have anything to really worry about. And I think removing the penalties is honestly for the best. And it seems like the kind of like the new design philosophy around just the game as a whole is the fact that they want to start removing some of those penalties that they've kind of had in the game that have really just made the game unfun. So I'm really happy that they're taking this new approach and this new stance on things. Alrighty, so next thing we're going to be talking about is the new endgame content that the developers went over. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is the Void Abyss. So the Void Abyss is going to be like another version of Void Intercept battles. These are going to feature Colossi that have like mutations. Is it Colossi? Or is it still just Colossus? I don't know. I don't know what plural of Colossus is. I'm going to take a guess and say Colossi. Either way, it's going to basically feature like mutations for these Colossus fights. And then these mutations are going to have special abilities called Void Reflux, and these will replace the Frenzied mode. So I guess the best way to look at it is it's almost like a subspecies in a way. Like if you played Monster Hunter World, it's like kind of like the whole Rathian, Pink Rathian, Gold Rathian kind of thing. Only instead of happening like outside of the game or being like separate fights, it's going to happen in the same fight. So this is going to be interesting. I'm really interested to see how this is going to play out. And then also these mutations are going to have like new patterns and enhance abilities and stuff like that. They can also regenerate new parts. So that's going to be interesting. Now, you can stop these void reflexes from happening by doing damage or breaking parts. I'm guessing it's going to be similar to what we have now with Frenzied mode, where it's going to be like a bar, and it's going to fill up over time as you do damage. I don't really know how this is going to work. We're going to have to really see how this plays once we get it in-game, or if we see like gameplay footage, or when they have like the live streams or anything like that. So this is, they also mentioned that this content is going to be focusing less on team play and more of individual builds and skill. So this basically means is that there aren't going to be like mechanics where you're kind of relying on your teammates to do the mechanics right. It's going to be more so where everybody is just kind of like trying to rely on themselves to survive and get the job done. So I think out of everything that they talked about in terms of new content, this is the one I'm most interested in. So next up we have Hard Special Operations. So Hard Special Operations will feature higher level enemies. They will be harder than previous special operations. They will also have changing layout and tactical elements. Now, during this section of them talking about new content, they also talked about Freyna and her balancing, so I'm going to quickly mention that here. So currently right now, Freyna is really, really strong. She is probably the strongest, actually no, she is the strongest AoE ad clearing descendant in the game. Like, she just does miles and leaps around Bunny, because all she has to do is hit one ability and an entire room is done and your game is lagging. So they talked about this. They talked about them doing like test runs with and without a Freyna. And the problem lies with her contagion skill and the fact that contagion spreads infinitely. Now, they did say that they aren't going to nerf her just yet. They're not going to do like any like crazy nerfs just yet. They're more worried about balancing other descendants and bringing them up, and then once they have those descendants up, they're going to be revisiting some of the more overpowered descendants and seeing how they can kind of like make them so that they're still good and they're still viable and they're still they still excel at what they do, but they're not making your entire game lag. Actually, I was playing the game right before I'm making this video, and I went into a 400% dungeon with 2 ultimate Freynas, and I shit you not, my game was lagging so bad that the game just kicked everybody out. At least it kicked me out. I don't know about my teammates, but it kicked me out of the game. Like it was nuts. I had to log back in. So Freyna is definitely an issue right now, especially just from a technical standpoint. She is kind of a problem right now, but I do like the fact that developers are taking a stance where they don't want to just hard nerf her. Instead, they want to bring everybody else up so that they all are kind of good in that hard operations setting in that scenario without a Freyna. So I'm interested to see kind of like as time progresses how they start balancing some of the lesser played descendants like Isimo, like Jaber, and Sharen. They didn't say anything about like a Sharen rework or anything like that, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But the next piece of content that they talked about was the Void Erosion Purge. Now, I'm not going to toot my own horn again, but this is another piece of content that I I had talked about that I possibly wanted. Now, I actually took this idea from Throne in Liberty. Basically, it's kind of like a tower design where there's like multiple towers. Multiple games have done this already, but to go off the notes here, this is going to be the hardest content in the game. It's going to require a full party with full specs and group coordination, a total of 30 stages, but they did say that they're probably going to adjust it, but they're currently looking at 30 stages in total. There's going to be rewards for each group of stages, so I'm guessing it's going to be maybe like it's going to be every stage you're going to get rewards. I might have misread the translation or the captions, but it's looking like it's going to maybe be like a group of stages. So like maybe you do like 5 stages, very similar to Warframe. You do 5 stages, you get rewards, and you can choose whether or not you want to continue going. So this might be the kind of like survival thing that they were talking about. I don't know. They did say that it is going to progress in difficulty as you go through the stages as well. So I'm also pretty interested in this. I'm really interested to see how this is going to play out, and whether or not a full team of Ultimate Freynas making each other's games lag is going to take care of that content pretty quickly. So what else here? They also mentioned there's going to be like specific materials that come from the Void Erosion Purge that are going to be for the new seasonal mechanic, very similar to the Ironheart reinforcement that we got in Season 1. There's going to be materials that you can get for this new system, which we will be talking about here in a second. Alright, so on that topic, let's talk about weapon core unlocking. So very similar to Season 1 where we had the Ironheart reinforcement, we're going to be getting a seasonal mechanic. Now, from what I understand, this is going to be evergreen content. So this is going to be something that's going to stay consistently in the game. So they're not like removing it. They're not removing the Ironheart reinforcement. So this is going to be something that is going to be baked into the game that we are going to have access to. So weapon core unlocking is going to be introduced in week 7 alongside Enos, still can't pronounce it. So it's going to be week 7 of season 2 in January. Now, the whole point of the weapon core unlocking system is to basically maximize the performance of your weapons. So I'm guessing this is going to be for all weapons. So rare weapons, ultimate weapons, common weapons, so the blue ones as well. Which I don't know why you would waste the. Hey, who knows? Maybe we could get some good working on there. But either way, so they also talked about that you are going to have 5 core slots per weapon, and you can add these so-called cores to increase stats of weapons. So they basically said that you can really tailor these weapons to the way you want them to play. So let's say you're building, off the top of my head, Assassin's Edge, which is a hand cannon in the game. It's a rare hand cannon. That gun has a pretty high firearm critical hit rate as well as critical damage. So if you wanted to just add more crit rate and more damage to that gun, you could totally do that. Same thing with Afterglow Sword. Afterglow Sword is another gun in the game that has a pretty high crit rate and crit damage. So they basically, this is just like another way to add like more stats to your weapons and stuff like that. I'm interested to see how good or how bad this system will be, because I feel like a part of me says this is a good idea, but another part of me thinks that this might also be a bad idea. I don't know why. Maybe I'll make like a separate video kind of going a little bit more in depth. Right now I'm just kind of going over everything that's being talked about in the Season 2 reveal. So, yeah. But these cores can also, like I said before, obtain from the Void Erosion Purge. Alright, so last but certainly not least, we are going to be getting some new cosmetics. They showed off a lot of new cosmetics. So first things first, they showed off, like earlier when they were talking about the Void Abyss, they showed off some more like Colossi themed skins, very similar to what we got with Dead Bride and Executioner in Season 1. So they showed off one for like, what the hell would you call it? Flamewalker? It was like a red mutation of the Walker type model. So it was red. It almost looked like the onion guy from Dark Souls. It actually, like, I actually kind of liked it, to be honest with you. But the one I really liked was the Devourer theme skin, and it was something I actually wanted. Like, I don't know why, but I felt like if they came out with a Devourer theme skin, it was gonna slap, and that shit slapped. And it was very much on its universal skin as well. And on female Descendants, it very much emphasizes the chest and rear area. From what I can tell, they showed concept, but they didn't show like an in-game render. The female one looks to very much emphasize the chest area. I'm just gonna say that much, and I would imagine the back area is also going to be very emphasized. Anyway, so next up, we are going to be getting a new reactive skin. We are going to be getting one for Volby, and they're also going to be adjusting the reactive requirements to be easier. They said that their data showed that not many people were getting all the requirements, so now they're going to kind of take a step back and make them easier so more people can get like the full skins. I haven't bought any of the reactive skins because they've all been for Descendants. I either don't play that much, or Descendants I don't really care about too much. So yeah, I have yet to get a reactive skin. When they come out with like Freyna or Glay or Sharen reactive skin, I'll probably buy it. So we also got a bunch of new premium skins as well. I think we got 4 for male and female. So the first one they showed off was Sharen. It has like a military general theme to it. It actually looked pretty good. Like that, my wallet is not ready. I'm definitely going to be copping that one. They showed a police skin for Bunny, which actually looked pretty good. Like I have not bought a single Bunny skin, but this one I might actually grab. So that should tell you that skin, it's a pretty good skin. They also showed a skin for Viessa. Now this skin we actually already had. This skin was in the beta test, So they're actually bringing it back now. So this skin we already knew existed. It was just a matter of when it was coming out. Next up, they have a Haley skin. This one was actually data mined, I think, like a month or two back. But I think it was like dubbed Black Noir or something like that. It was like something Noir or something. Or no, it was like Black Thorn. I think that's what it was. No, Black Noir is the guy from The Boys. And in my notes, I dubbed the edgy, sexy mistress. Take that as you will. Next up, the guys. Okay, so there's actually 3 guy skins. I'm sorry. I'm crazy, man. So they had one for Kyle, which actually looked like Lepic. It looked very Lepic-y, like in the like design of the helmet. It was almost like Lepic's Ultimate Descendant, base Ultimate Descendant skin. So it was. So originally I thought it was Lepic, and then it was like, oh wait, no, that's Kyle, huh? It seems like they're adding some skins for a lot of the Descendants that didn't really get a whole lot of skins, since the game has launched. So I'm really happy that they're doing that. We're also getting a skin for Jaber, which it looks similar. Didn't we already get a skin that looks similar to this for Blair? I could be wrong, but I thought Blair got a like a futuristic skin that looked very similar to this, but maybe I'm wrong. Next up, and I said that was for Jaber, right? Yeah, it's for Jaber. Next up is a skin for Isimo. Now, this one actually looks pretty cool. Like, out of all of them, this one was probably, like, my 3rd or 4th favorite. Like, this one was pretty high up there. Like, I actually really like the skin for Isimo. Next up, they're going to be adding some more common Descendant skins. They added one that was like a casual Arctic gear kind of look to it. It had, like, a very Arctic themed to it. Then they also had like a green tracksuit that looked like the tracksuit from Squid Games. So I don't know if that's just like something over in Korea, since they're both like Korean pieces of media. So I don't know if that's like something in Korea or anything like that. I have no idea. I'm not Korean. I'm an American. America. Anyway, they also showed off some Christmas skins. They showed off some sexy skins for the female Descendants. They said the male Descendants are going to be getting skins, and they're going to be a little bit more goofy. If you want my personal opinion, I think it's either going to be Santa Claus or it's going to be Rudolph. I think we are getting a Rudolph skin for the companions, the fellows, so maybe not, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe it'll be like a abominable snowman, like the abominable snowman from Rudolph. So they also showed off some Lunar New Year skins. These skins, they showed 3 in particular. One looked very Chun-Li, but one was Chinese inspired. The other one was Korean inspired, and then the last one was Japanese inspired. They looked pretty good, honestly. Like I said, the Chinese inspired one looked very much like Chun-Li, just based off of like the image, the concept. It was like the first thing that came to my mind was Chun-Li. And last but certainly not least, they did say that Sharen and Haley Maid and Academy skins are in the works. So when these skins came out for all the other female Descendants, Haley wasn't out yet, and Sharen did not get one at all for either of these skins. So they are going to be working on that. I'm really happy that, my girl Sharen is finally getting the justice that she deserves. Alrighty guys, so with all that being said, Season 2 is looking pretty juiced. Like, comparatively, when we look at the Season 1 roadmap, which I will have on screen, like, right now at some point, I mean, this is a lot of content. Like, this is more content than I was expecting, but I'm really happy that the developers have been working hard to, like, give us all this content, because, like I said, I was not expecting this, especially after Season 1. Like, Season 1 was very lackluster. So I'm pretty excited for Season 2. Like, this definitely gets me wanting to play the game more. But with that being said, let me know what you guys are looking forward to the most from Season 2, and also let me know what you guys want to see from me as well. With that being said, guys, my name is Garen Belmont, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.